I played in the Legends of Runeterra seasonal tournament by being a top 700 master player. A day full of best of threes against some of the best players in the world. All fighting for that $10,000 prize, and this pretty much means that I had to stop playing my meme decks for an entire day. This is gonna be harder than I thought. So in this video, I'm going to take you with me on my journey to prepare, participate, and smash my opponents in the tournament. The big day was going to be on October 8th. I started my preparation a week earlier, which is when I started to realize that I need to get a lot better at the game, because playing all these off-meta decks wasn't going to cut it in a competitive environment where every single player knew what they were doing. The latest balance update was on September 27th, which contained huge buffs to Swain, Leona, Nocturne, and Fiora. I was actually recovering from COVID around this time, so I couldn't stream or make content, which meant that all I was really doing was just laying in bed and playing Runeterra on my phone. And a couple of days after the balance update, I started realizing that Pantheon Fiora was actually a really good deck. On October 1st, MajinBae uploaded a video to highlight the deck.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's MajinBae. Welcome back to the channel.
And that pretty much confirmed it for me.
I just bodied people. I was just crushing people, and I was like, oh, this deck is real.
I knew the deck was good, not just because MajinBae said so, but I didn't expect it to be this good. I'm a huge blue-white lover. There's always been something about the Targon-Demacia combo that really resonates with me as a player. I love dragons back in Call of the Mountain. I like Daybreak, which has always been really good with Demacia. Taric Poppy has been one of my go-to decks for climbing for several seasons now. And obviously there's also the Pantheon decks, which I never really enjoyed because I wasn't a huge fan of the go tall with your units one by one and give them overwhelm. But since Zenith Blade got nerfed, that pretty degenerate strategy hasn't been around for a while. But with the Fiora buff and the Darkin Lodestone in the game, both Pantheon and Fiora found a home outside of their previously toxic all-in on one champion strategy in a sweet mid-range combat deck. So yeah, pretty early on I decided I wanted to climb with that deck and build my lineup around it for seasonals. The Pantheon Fiora deck is how the story started, but let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Nami and Lee Sin. Somehow, this ended up being one of the best decks we've ever seen in Runeterra, and it escaped nerfs in the September 27th patch. Yeah, every single player was going to bring this deck to seasonals. I don't like Ionia. I really don't like Ionia. But if I was going to commit to this tournament and this video, I needed to at least understand the deck. So I reached out to my good friend Robomaster for some advice. You might have seen his name at the top of the EU leaderboard. We hopped into a Discord call and practiced the Nami-Lee mirror against each other. It started to become painfully clear that I pretty much had to include this deck in my lineup if I wanted to maximize my chances of making it through the open rounds. See, the top 700 master players and the first 324 players to qualify through the gauntlet make it into the seasonal tournament. There are 9 best of 3s in total, so you can make it to the top 32 by going 8 wins, 1 loss, or if you have a lot of ladder points, you can go 7 wins, 2 losses. I wasn't high enough on the ladder, so I had to get at least 8 out of 9 wins. To do that, you pretty much needed a consistent lineup, which always included the tier 0 Ionia decks. But as I was getting better at the deck, it still didn't feel right. I discussed a ton of possibilities with Robomaster for the lineup, and something we considered was the triple small Demacia lineup, so you don't have to ban Nami. Scouts, take Poppy out of Taric Poppy so you can play Poppy Lulu and Taric Fiora. The problem quickly became that on October 3rd, Alan announced his lineup to potentially be Nami-Lee, Fiora Pantheon, and Nora Swain. Nora Swain was the new kid on the block and looked extremely promising as the meta counter. So with the small Demacia lineup, you had to leave open Nami-Lee and ban either Fiora Pant or Nora Swain, but both matchups were unfavorable. Oh yeah, before I forget, let me make it really clear that I'm not really a competitive player, so everything I'm telling you here is what I learned over the past weeks and just generally how I feel when I play Runeterra. So I was back at where I started, bringing Fiora Pantheon and getting as much practice with Nami-Lee to make it my second deck. I was getting better and better, and my confidence got a huge boost. Since I was committed to the meta lineup, I figured to round it out, I should just do what has proven to be the best option, which was the Swain Nora deck. And boom, it was 5 days left until seasonals, and I already knew my lineup. I practiced with Jinden, another incredible player whose name you can find at the top of the leaderboard as well, and he really opened my eyes to how to play the Nami-Lee deck even better. The days went by, I was getting better and better, but something still just didn't feel right. This lineup, this Ionia deck, this Swain Bandle City deck, It wasn't me. It wasn't Snnuy. I was still happy with the work I put in with these decks because I also had to learn how to play against them. But literally a single day before seasonals, I decided I needed to be me. I love Targon Demacia decks, don't get me wrong, but my comfort decks have mid-range champions with combo finishes and burn options. Oh, and if Time Bomb Printer didn't just get nerfed, I would have definitely brought it. Anyway, I scrapped my previous lineup, and after looking at the stats, I realized that Victor Riven was a bit of a sleeper deck. And this is a deck that I put a lot of hours into. 52% win rate against Furo Pantheon, 56% win rate against Nami Lee, and abysmal win rates against Swain. So what if everybody is just doing what I'm doing? Bringing Nami Lee because it's a tier 0 deck without actually knowing how to play the deck efficiently. This approach felt a lot better, and I knew that if this is going to be my first attempt, I had to stick to my comfort decks. Another deck I'm somewhat known for is Ziggs and Talia. Combo finish with Ziggs' landmark burn. The win rates of this deck weren't great into the field, but it still felt like it was the way to go because it plays similarly to Victor Riven. So all I needed was a third deck that would beat Nami Lee and Furo Pantheon. And looking at the numbers, it seemed like there was one perfect deck out there, just waiting for me to notice it. I might not have a whole lot of experience playing this deck, but any Jhin was exactly what I was looking for. 52% win rate against Pantheora and almost 60% against Nami Lee. And just like that, I found the Snnuy lineup, and after a little bit of practice against my good friend the Legend 27, I almost dropped Talia Ziggs for Lurk because of the win rates, but I still decided these were my 3 decks. I woke up on the 8th and realized I overslept, so I rushed to my PC, turned it on, booted up Runeterra, and logged in my lineup. And a second after confirming my lineup, I realized I screwed up. The day before I was practicing Talia Ziggs, and I had 2 copies of Quicksand that really just weren't doing anything. So I wanted to cut one or even both for another right negation or drop the bomb. But too late for that. Double Quicksand it is. I turned on my stream and it took me a little while to get used to playing with a delay. After saying hi to chat, which they'd see 10 minutes later. Okay, hi. I've never streamed with delay. I clicked ready and found my first opponent. Zonak. So I have to ban Nora Vhagar or Swain TF, but my burn lineup cannot beat this or this. Immediately, I got pretty worried because they ran Swain Twisted Fate, which I planned on banning, but there was another control lineup that was impossible to beat with Jhin Annie, while my other decks did well into it. I still had to stick to my plan and ban Swain Twisted Fate, but to my surprise, my opponent banned Jhin Annie, which was fantastic for me. Oh, Jhin Annie banned, okay. Right. Game number 1. Let's see how this goes. Game 1 started as Victor Riven versus Vhagar Nora, which felt slightly unfavored. But after their Aloof Traveler made my Riven invulnerable, I knew I'd be alright. Okay, well, thanks. Opponent has 8 mana. I had to slow down a little bit and set up all my pieces on turn 6 while doing some damage, which became surprisingly easy after getting the busted scout weapon, so I knew that with my burn damage and fragments in hand, I was going to get the victory the next turn. And setting up a blade so we can Rune Reckoner next turn is potentially game winning, so scout is fantastic. Okay, another blade. Quick attack. +2. Overwhelm. So with the scout weapon next turn, do a lot of damage as well. Okay, this is looking pretty good for us. I think we literally win this turn. Oh yeah, okay, GG. Nice. Oh, that's so good. Alright, GG. Pretty clean. Alright, game number 1 is in the pocket. Yeah, that scout weapon is quite good here. With the first win of the tournament going to my Victor Riven deck, the remaining deck was mid-range landmarks, and one thing about my beloved Ziggs Talia is that it does extremely well against most control decks. You see, control decks tend to run spells that remove units and almost no cards that remove landmarks. So that makes us pretty happy because it allows us to just set up everything we need while protecting our units with Hourglass, Rite, and Unleashed Energy. My opponent decided to switch to their second deck, which was considerably harder than the Nora Vhagar deck. From practicing with Legend yesterday, I noticed that the worst thing this deck can do is going wide. The game was going smoothly, but right when things started to become a little dicey, I made things even more difficult on myself by top decking the card I was supposed to cut from my deck. Ugh, this is why I had to cut these, man. No. Okay. I need to get rid of this quicksand. I can't use double. I need to use it to actually stay on the board. Like this is gonna take one turn until they matter, which is quite good actually. If I keep this Broadwing and the 2/2 there, okay, that's good. That's great. I think having the stun set up on the board is fine. This is 24 damage. We might not get there. It's gonna be close. I could concert it to Talia and leave it at that. Oh no, they always safety block though. I had lethal in hand because I could buff up my Talia with Unleashed Energy, but the entire game came down to whether or not Pantheon would get lifesteal from his level up. Spell shield. As it turns out, my opponent added way too much salt to the keyword soup and missed on the lifesteal roll. Not only that, Pantheon had 7 attack to hit my Talia with single combat, but Absolver's +2 HP buffed her out of range. Let's go! We actually got the first game! Hey, clean 2-0. Yo! I don't know. Hey, that's pretty good, man. I actually won the first best of 3. How about that? Pog! Look at that. Hell yeah. Next match will start in 43 minutes. Dude, okay, listen. I played competitive League of Legends, right? I played League of Legends competitively and I played a bunch of tournaments. And the one thing that made me quit doing that is this, the delay, the waiting. Yeah, I burned out hard on tournaments in the past because of the endless waiting, but a Runeterra tournament once every few months, that's not too bad. I still had to find a way to kill some time before the next match, so I decided to boot up a game from a franchise I absolutely adore. Dig down. Somebody stole his treasures and went all the way deep into the ground, so that's where we're gonna go as well. 40 minutes and a lot of gems later, I found my next opponent. Mate to feed. The lineup I ran into was one I should have expected, but somehow I didn't. So I wasn't really sure what to ban. Play it safe and ban Lee Nami because it's just undisputably the strongest deck, or ban Gwen Katarina because once I fall behind on tempo, I'll never be able to recover. To decide, I did what any professional gamer would do and I flipped a coin. All right, I'm flipping a coin. If it's heads, I'm banning Lee Nami. Okay, so I'm not banning Lee Nami. All right. Coin flip is sacred. Please, please coin flip. Help me out. Almost immediately, the coin flip rewarded me with the best weapon of them all. Nice. And the game was on. So you always block Victor into Wuju style here? So if that's the play, we have Poro Cannon? Yeah, okay, perfect. So they need to block Victor here. Let's see if they will. I mean, they're probably playing around it. All right, great. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Thanks. Oh, baby. That's the good stuff. And we got the regen to go back to full. That's great. That's just fantastic. It really is. The game was going great, as it should because this was a favorable matchup for us, but my Victor practice was about to pay off and seal the deal with a classic hex score high roll. Spell shield, wow. Wait, spell shield is insane. Okay, yeah. No, sometimes... sometimes your Riven and Victor just level on turn 6 and then you lose. Yeah, that's a thing that can happen. A complete high roll on game 1 meant that I was about to play another Landmark versus Faded matchup. And after the butt-clenching previous game, I wasn't so sure how I'd do. And of course, like someone from Riot was watching my games and punishing me for oversleeping and not cutting the second quicksand. Ugh, I keep drawing double quicksand. It's not good. Double quicksand is not good, Chad. Things were looking bad. My HP was dropping fast and I knew I had to get creative to come out victorious in this match. Okay, we're missing 2 damage by not playing Ziggs first, but I don't have a choice, right? I managed to stun or remove all of my opponent's board, but the nerfs were getting to me, and for some reason I thought every unit was stunned. Chat? But it turned out this little bird wasn't actually stunned, and I missed 5 damage by not pulling the unit to the right. We're getting there. Ziggs doesn't do anything. Ziggs is basically just bait. We're trying to win with Arsenal next turn. They have 2 rallies, so I only need to play around 1, really. It all came down to Arnie and the keywords. I need Elusive and Spell Shield to secure the win. Alright, don't do me dirty. Elusive, Fearsome, Spell Shield. 2-0, baby! Let's go! I haven't lost a game yet! Yo, we're getting there, man. With the comfort lineup. Always trust in the coin flip. Every single time, dude. Let's freaking go. Whew. Look at that. Beautiful. Huh? Alright, ready. After another 40 minutes of digging and gem collecting, my next match was ready, and this is where I made my first fatal mistake. I decided to ban the Nami deck because I was worried I couldn't beat it with Ziggs and Talia. But I should have just done what worked before against this exact lineup and banned Gwen Katarina. The coin flip saved me once, but I lost faith. Too late to look back now. It was time for my first match with Annie and Jin. Okay. Not the worst so far. So we have to go double tusk here. That sucks. Gwen hitting the field was the exact moment I knew I should have banned this deck. Because the heal for 2 every time she attacks was something I wasn't prepared to deal with. Combined with the fact that I didn't have Jin in my hand, which is usually something that pretty much doubles the win rate, I was getting close to my first loss. The fact that heal for 2 is actually the worst. I don't know if this Katarina was top deck, but that was really good for opponent. Are we dead? Oh, we're dead. Wow. Alright. And there it was. The deck I felt the least confident on handed me my first defeat. That was pretty fast and unfortunate. Yeah, I guess I should have stunned Gwen that turn before. I think we were always dead if that was their hand. I decided to queue up Jin Annie again, which was slightly favored against Pantheon Fiora with 52% win rate. But again, I drew Jin way too late, and combined with my opponent drawing all their early game units, it was checkmate before I knew it. This is a perfect opener for opponent, so I think we're gonna have a really rough time getting through this. We tried. We came close, but Annie Jin apparently is not it. Unlucky, chat, unlucky. The Decimate came 1 turn late. We could have actually won. Wow. I feel like we should have done a little better there. A quick glance at the mastery points of the champions in my lineup do a really good job at explaining the whole story. I'm the type of player that values comfort and finding my own playstyle far more than the perfect meta lineup. So while I'm confident that Annie Jin was a fantastic deck to bring to the tournament, it was still a deck I wasn't comfortable piloting. And with that loss, I was noticing another downside of playing in this type of tournament. Because when you lose a game, you kind of just want to instantly get to the next match to make up for what just happened. But you can't do that. You have to sit and wait until it's your turn to play again. So instead of digging to kill time, I decided to try something else while waiting for my next opponent. Alright, look, I'll show you guys my career profile so you get an idea of what kind of player I am. My most played champion is Mercy, okay? Because I suck at shooters. I'm really not good at shooters. Alright, we're winning! I'm doing so much, chat, look at me! This is my piss beam and this is my blue beam. Oh, I got a kill! So clearly that statement about not being good at shooters was a complete lie. Battle Mercy is in my blood. Oh. Uh-oh.
Ready for duty.
Oh, no, I just wanted to hide there! Alright. Well, at least the view was nice. After dominating Overwatch, I had to get back to my card game. I was ready to take on opponent number 4. Nani? What I just queued into was a different type of lineup, but I couldn't afford any more mistakes. My score was currently 2 wins, 1 loss, which meant my run was over as soon as I lost 1 more set, and I needed to win 6 more times to secure a spot in the top 32. I wasn't going to make the same mistake as last time. I left the Nami deck open and banned scouts. Wait, that's great. I feel like that's the worst ban they could do. I'm just not sure about starting Annie Jin again because it's been a train wreck. Alright. Whatever. Annie Jin was great against Nami and even against Poppy Tarek, but it was pretty clear that I just wasn't really performing on the deck at all. Both our decks should be favored into Nami, so if we win this one, I'm feeling super confident about just taking this one all the way. Okay, opponent has all their units, so they are holding on. Hopefully we can get there eventually. My opponent's spell-heavy deck still had a lot of units to play early game, which was great at holding off our aggressive advance, but things were about to get a lot worse for us. So we can go these two, or we could just play Jin. I think playing Jin is better here. Opponent has insane luck right now. Oof, that is rough for us. Are you serious? Alright, chat, we're getting gamed on very hard right now. A combination of me not playing the deck perfectly and my opponent generating the perfect 2 cards from core creatures to kill my Jhin on the same turn for the low price of 2 mana meant I locked myself out of the first game already, which was really bad because the Nami matchup was a lot better than the Poppy Taric matchup. So they don't have interaction, right? Fleet Feather. Oh, they have 2 single combats, actually. Oh, God. I forced the blade and set up a huge attack for Victor, but I could lose the game to one of their 2 copies of single combat at any moment. Alright. So we need to win against this deck now with our... Ginny. That's not been great. Let's see. It's 50-50. Aggro hand. So I'm playing Jhin here because Jhin is at 2 out of 3. So with this stun, it'll be double stun. So we're probably not playing this because we should still use that in case they play a rally. We just go very wide. Alright, GG. Cards back, gamer. 3-1. Let's go. Alright, chat. Oh, we finally won with Jhin Addy after losing like 3 games in a row with it. We had a really good start this time, though. The Jhin matters so much, dude. Oh my god. G to the G. To get this exclusive card pack, you need to win 3 or more games in the seasonal tournament. So no matter what happened from here on out, I already got something out of participating. And then more waiting as usual. And my next opponent brought a lineup that terrified me. What the hell is this? This is horrible though. I don't think we beat any of this. Triple SI lineup, what a nightmare. This situation we're in from this triple Shadow Owl lineup is pretty easy to explain from our perspective. Ziggs and Taliyah is great against any form of control, so my opponent didn't really have to analyze any win rates or something. They could just click ban on this deck and be happy. Jhin and Annie, yeah, I don't even know where to begin. They just don't beat control at all. Any deck with healing is rough, and my opponent has 3 decks that can do that. Healing is cheating, fellas. Don't forget. And lastly, I've been saying that survival skills makes units invulnerable, but that's not entirely true. The units can't drop below 1 health, which means they're still vulnerable to something like Vengeance. Victor Riven is still a deck that can easily take wins against this type of lineup, but it was just painful how much of an inconvenience Jhin and Annie were for me. The right way to do it, yeah. Ah, no. Taliyah Ziggs is great into the entire field. Okay, that's fine then. If they lose this, I can be deep with both of my decks. So if they win this one, I still have the best deck left to actually try to get a win. Okay, we're at 1. So I can't play this. Let's go, people. Alright, GG. Absolutely rolled. Not a chance. Not a chance. But that's fine, because now they can't use that deck. I feel a little better about our odds against Deep with the decks we have left. Ban the Shadow Owl deck. Thank you, Cryo. Thank you, I did. What would I do without you? There's no downside to this trade. Because if they go deep, then this will still be lower health, right? Okay, we have 5 damage. Vengeance will be bad for us. Vengeance is basically worst possible outcome. That's good though. This could have been terrible for us. Let's go. Clean. Clean as hell, dude. Hell yeah. Feels good. I love this deck. We lost once with this deck so far, I think. I was undefeated with Zixtalia and Victor Riven, while I lost 3 games with Jin Annie. To make matters worse, I was facing my hardest challenge yet. Be deep with my worst win rate deck in my lineup, or lose all chances of making it to top 32. The matchup was winnable, but I really need to dodge drain spells like Undergrowth and lifesteal units like Dead Blue Wanderer. Double this one is kind of painful. If 2 mana, but Valfeast doesn't hit anything, it just gives him an extra blocker, which to be fair is not bad. But as luck would have it, my opponent had 2 copies of the lifesteal unit and a Bone Skewer for an extra strike with lifesteal. Yeah, no, I think we lost here. Man, those lifesteal cards are quite rough. Looks like it ends here, boys. Double Scarab, double lifesteal is not good for us. Nah. All right, GG. GG. All right, so it ends here. We definitely ran into the counter matchup. So I was expecting to lose, but I was hoping that maybe with like a good hand against that lineup, we could get there. We tried, Jed. It's I'm happy. I'm happy with this result. So that's where my first seasonal journey ended. I could have kept playing, but there was no chance of making it to top 32, so I decided to just call it. I have to be honest though, I actually loved everything about this. The preparing and finding the right lineup, the anticipation and the matches itself, the waiting. Okay, I guess I didn't love everything, but I really want to participate again next seasonal, so I'm definitely going to, and I'm going to try even harder to make it to top 32. So a really big reason why I decided to do this was obviously to make this video. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you like the video and let me know in the comments how you want to see me approach the seasonals next time.